G'day all. Thanks for joining us for our list discussion, joined by the venerable Paul Collins and Max Kay, talking lists from Clash of Kings Australia. For those of you watching, the list will go live on the Kings of War Australia page in about 15 minutes, because we don't want to have you guessing everything before we've discussed it. And we're going to talk about some of our favourite lists, who we think might be favourite to win based on their lists, just some interesting lists, and look at a couple of new player lists as well. And that's what we'll go through with you tonight. But first, we might ask for a few shout outs while we have a bit of what we've been doing in the hobby discussion before we get into the lists. I reckon in the comments below for our whole, how many we got at the moment? Oh, whole 9 viewers at the moment. There we go. Yeah, I reckon there 8 are here for you, Paul. I reckon we should get some guesses on what are the most taken lists in terms of factions. So, of course, Paul and Maxi have had a look. Now, but anyone commenting via Facebook, you do need to, if you want us to know who you are, you do need to allow Facebook to see your name in the comments. But someone's tried to comment first, and I think has been first on Facebook, but second overall. Someone thought you weren't wearing if you just head to, there's a comments button on the right, mate.
I can take it off if you like.
Yeah.
Or should we keep it PG?
Yeah, true Gronks fashion. We're not at the event yet. There we go.
Can't give it all right. Away than the first.
Yeah,
one.
So we'll let a few people start guessing what our most taken factions are. But let's do a little bit of a hobby update. Paul, what have you been up to, mate?
I've had to paint a couple more figures for my Clash list. I was actually going to take something different up until the very last day. So I had been painting some Abyssal Dwarfs along with some other people in the list. But I changed 2 Goblins and I painted 2 Standard Bearers in the last few days. And then I ran out of things to paint. So I didn't have any projects that had unpainted figures. So I cracked open an ambush box of Empire of Dust.
Sorry, I didn't understand that. You've got no unpainted figures?
Got no unpainted Kings of War figures. Except...
I don't comprehend.
Yeah, I know.
Sorry, I mean, I speak of Paul.
Yeah. I had an unpainted box of Empire of Dust, an ambush box that I picked up somewhere. So I've cracked that open yesterday and I'm working on that. I have.
I thought you just said man bush box. I was like,
manscaping is very important, Matt.
It's Paul's new favourite hobby tool, the razor.
I am talking about a ambush box.
Ambush, right? Yeah. Thank you, mate. Okay. And sorry, what was the ambush box for? What faction?
Empire of Dust.
Got it. Nice. Great list, Empire of Dust. You've played some Empire of Dust, haven't you, Maxi?
Wow, fantastic list. Pretty popular this year. Hint, hint.
We haven't got have we got any correct? I don't think we've got any correct guesses in the comments yet. So while people try well, they're half correct maybe. What about you, Max? What hobby? You're not coming to Clash this year. You made the unfortunate mistake of having sex and ended up with a pregnant partner.
Yeah, I've got a different hobby brewing in the bedroom. Yes, no, I can't make Clash this year. I'll be eagerly awaiting the arrival of my new baby.
Mm-hmm.
But No, I've been working on a lot of stuff. I've got about 40 halflings on my bench at the moment, waiting paint.
Mhm.
And I just finished 2 wingits, my second and third wingit, because you
Ooh,
can never have
nice.
too many wingits.
What flavor of halfling are you painting?
What flavour?
Yeah,
I'm painting the formation.
Oh, nice. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. Which is multi-flavored.
Hmm.
Neapolitan. Myself, I've also been working on some halflings, but I showed a couple of you guys. This one didn't get onto the counter charge or a Kings of War Australia post yet, but finished this. It's cutting out. Finished this base for my halfling rifles. So
Lovely
nice
unit
little
of ghosts you've got there.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm.
Well, the actual halflings are sitting off to the side here. I've almost got the base coats done, and then a quick highlight, and they'll be ready to go. And of course, printing. I think I've printed about 1,000 different tokens for Clash, so that's been keeping me going. And thankfully, I had the extra week off. I needed it in the end and then printed the trophies, which they're not dissimilar to the ones Paul has behind him. Different shapes, but and different color. But you've got the gold flavor behind you, Paul. Oh, thank you for Facebook user. Oh, not that one, saying hot rifle base. But yeah, that's what we've been up to. And so we've got time for a couple of more guesses. We've had no one guess what our equal to top factions are yet. So we've had Nick Legrand has said ogres. He also said, "Are you okay,
Pretty
Paul?"
far off there, mate.
We've had Danny Bird and other Facebook users say dwarfs as well as ogres. Right. So Jats is on there. We've got Stephen saying goblins. And Age and another Facebook user saying abyssal dwarfs. So I think we might do the big reveal. I'll just do a bit of the share screen here.
It's Ratkin slaves.
yeah. Where are we? Oh, there's a little bit of a meltdown going on behind my green screen here. See if anyone can hear that. So can we see that?
No,
coming
it's
up?
way too small.
Way too small. I'm talking about the screen, Maxi.
Oh, that's what we're talking about. Sorry.
Yeah. So let's just see. I can probably blow that up bigger. No, that makes it even smaller. Let's try this.
Triangle portrait.
Yeah. So we have Abyssal Dwarves with 5 and Empire Dust with 5, and then a whole bunch at 4. Goblins, Kingdoms of Men, Night Stalkers, Undead, and the Herd. And then a bunch of 3s with Dwarves, Elves, Northern Alliance, Varangur, Ogres. 2s are your free dwarfs, your base aliens, Forces of the Abyss, and Trident Realms, and then a bunch of 1s, and then only 5 armies not seen. Sylvankin, Order of the Brother Mark, Ratkin Slaves, the Skid Marks, Riftforged Orcs, and Twilight Kit, which found Twilight Kit interesting. Anything surprise you in this list, Cats?
I'm surprised there's no Twilight King.
No
I would have thought
Riftforged,
at least 1 or 2 would have been smashed out in time.
Yeah, I did wonder if it was mostly a time thing.
I think probably, yeah.
And I think
Nice.
somewhat a specific play style as well that might not mesh with everyone.
Night Stalkers is right at the top though, so maybe that sort of explains the lack of Twilight Kin.
Well, I think that's a bit more suggestive as well of that time frame, isn't it? Having that little bit longer with their changes. What about, are you surprised at Abyssal Dwarves and EOD?
A little bit about with EOD, although it's a very strong list. Abyssal Dwarfs, I think they got some big buffs in Clash, and I'm not super surprised to see them there.
No, I've been playing a bit against you, Paul, on UB with your new and improved half breeds with their nerve buff and all the special rules. They go pretty well.
Yeah, they're in a good spot, aren't they? As I alluded to earlier, I was going to take Abyssal Dwarfs until last Friday when the lists were due, and I made a last-minute decision to change, only because it seemed like there were going to be a lot of Abyssal Dwarf players there.
And no, Gad Max is not the lone halfling because he's not making it down. Dan Bird is the lone halfling. But yeah, I think with the half breeds, it's quite. I think a nerve buff is powerful because they've got the inbuilt waiver mitigation, right? So it's probably a little bit more power.
Regen.
And regen, yeah.
So I think those two things actually make nerve buffs probably even more valuable than they are usually.
And with Vicious, they're quite reliable. They're not,
as in their damage output.
Yeah, they're not a 250 point full hammer, but they certainly are a mini hammer, which is, yeah, as I said, melee 3 with Vicious is quite reliable.
Yeah. Adrian's very, very surprised by just 3 dwarfs. Maybe the Masters players burned everyone out for dwarfs.
There's a free dwarf or 2 as well.
That's true. Yeah, and when you add in Abyssal Dwarves, there's certainly plenty of stunties going around.
Yeah.
Max, what would you have brought? What faction?
I would have brought halflings. Yeah, purely because it's what I took last year, and I'd want to run it back, and it's my only full Mantic army. So.
Yeah. Okay. So we might roll into what we're going to discuss next. So we had a bit of a look through the lists in our very shortly prepared episode, and we have picked out what we think are some interesting lists that we'll have a chat about. And then after that, we'll pop up a couple of the new players lists that we haven't seen at Clash before, and then following that, we'll each have our top 3 lists that we think are a chance at taking it out. And Adrian's saying that free dwarfs don't count. Come on, mate. Come on. Free dwarfs are the best dwarfs. None of this Golok imperialism. So let's move on to our first list. We'll go back to sharing. And I think we might, because we all picked this list. Don't know whether I should have a crack at his last name or not. I think I'm going to go with not. Jason, who I don't think has been to Clash before. And so he is bringing a Night Stalkers list. And for the purposes of, because we will put this up as an episode as well, I'll read them out. But he has his Night Stalkers list, which is 5 hordes of Ravagers. So they're essentially the Night Stalker boomers. 3 regiments of Soul Flayers. Of course, they all have Windblast, and one of those has the Staying Stone. 2 Mind Screechers, both of the Singing Aberration variety, so Lightning Bolt, Mindfog, Windblast. A Banshee, 2 Banshees, and 1 with the Conjurer's Staff and Resonant Chorus. And I'm going to have to look up what that does. So once per turn after casting its Windblast or Enthrall spell, the Banshee may immediately cast the same spell again. So, Paul, why'd you pick this as an interesting list?
I've never seen anyone take 5 hordes of Ravagers before. But it's also an army that has every unit shooting. The Soul Flayers don't do damage, but the Banshees do. But all 12 units are capable of shooting, which I thought was really interesting. And the 5 hordes, I mean, that's a real skew list. So it's going to have some really easy games and some that are just going to be very, very tough, I think. But, very interesting.
Yeah. And what about you, Maxi? What do you like about this?
It's something we haven't seen really in Australia, is this flavour of Night Stalkers, enthrall you in, shoot you with Ravagers, and then wind blast you back out of charge range. It's pretty spicy if you can make that work. So I'd like to see him try and pull that off on the table.
Yeah, I think, and piercing shooting's just really strong, isn't it? Particularly for taking out like so many hammers in the game, might often end up with like that pip of defense down to def 4 or something. And so being able to kind of get some reliable shooting off on someone's hammers and taking them out early can really swing the game.
it's also going to be incredibly powerful in the end game if the tools are still alive, pushing people in and out of zones or on and off objectives, and
Yeah.
very strong.
Yeah, I think Wind Blast is a really powerful spell. I think you don't often see it enough because if you're taking it on a mage, I think a lot of the time one lot of Wind Blast isn't enough for the rest of the game. You're mostly waiting for last turn.
But the Banshees
when it's inbuilt
last as well.
Yeah, I think this is a cracking list. I'd probably have it right up there if I knew if Jason could play or not.
So adding it up, you can cast Enthrall 15, right? And then Windblast 15 with the Soul Flares. So it could pull someone in like 8 inches and then push them back 8 inches.
No, the Mind Screechers also have Wind Blast.
Oh, and the mines. Yeah, okay.
And that's another 12, I think, or is it 10?
Yeah, so you could in theory be guaranteed to push someone back out after you pull them in, right? With all that Wind Blast, if you play it right.
Pretty much.
Yeah, very interesting. Obviously, a little bit of a weakness with the low def, but stealthy to make up for it. The lists that it'll struggle with that we'll see some of later on are the flying lists.
Or maybe the other Night Stalkers with stealthy.
Yeah, true.
Although it's range 4.
Or one of the many lists with bolt throwers. Although stealthy will make that
stealthy will make that tough. Yeah. All right. So that's Jason's list. Looking forward to meeting Jason. See if he's as nasty as his list.
See if he can get us to pronounce his last name.
Yes, true. We'll hold lessons on that. Next one that we're going to bring up is Stephen Tuck. Okay. So if your list is making it on here, we don't rate you to win, just so you know. Sorry, Steve. So Steve's bringing one of the Free Dwarf lists. So 3 hordes of shield breakers. And the best thing about the shield breakers in the Free Dwarf list is their native Pathfinder. Then he's got 2 troops and 2 regiments of Free Dwarf Spear Levy, which a lot of people don't rate. I quite like him, but it looks like he's basically using them as some unit strength and Mastiff Caddies. He's got a Brock Rider regiment with Brew of Strength. He's got the Greater Earth Elemental special character Kragoth and Colarm. He has Free Dwarf Stone Priest with Wings and the Honey Maze, which is interesting in Alchemist Curse 3. He has a Free Dwarf Army Standard Bearer with the Loot. And, of course, under the changes, that gives Rallying 1 to Dwarf Army, which is essentially everything but Kragoth, I think. And then he has 2 Dwarf Lords on Large Beast and a Stoneclaw Champion. So, if we look, and also a lot of unit strength, 28 unit strength and 14 total units, which I think is a pretty tasty mix. What do you guys think of this?
And I think there's only 1 unit that doesn't score.
So let's bring that back up. So no, 2. So the Standard Bearer and the Stone Priest.
So the Priest has got Alchemist Curse 3, which is why I think it's got the Wings of the Honey Maze.
Yeah, when you can't buy Boots of Levitation and a horse, this is the next best thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't see I've seen the wings on a Stone Priest before. One of the reasons I like this list. It makes sense, just haven't seen it before. I think it makes sense now that you might see some of these combos we weren't seeing before because they stripped off all the spells, so you're not paying for them first.
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah, so it's just an Alchemist Curse bot now. That's all he's going to do.
Mm.
I like this list. It's a well-built list, I think.
3 hordes of shield breakers is, quite frankly, terrifying.
Crushing too,
yeah. Yeah, and because of the Pathfinder, you can hide them in a bit of cover. So plenty of nerve and plenty of hurt to dole out, and plus, of course, the option of the Bane Chant if it goes off. So can go to crushing.
He hasn't paid for Scout on the shield breakers.
No.
Which is interesting.
No. Yeah, so the main thing, of course, like all dwarf lists, will be some board control potential issues if you're not used to playing dwarves. But Ordered March also makes a big difference to that. So, I think. Oh no,
Yeah,
did they get?
especially-
Did they get it? Yeah, everything.
They do.
Yeah,
Yeah,
lots
and
of
when
it's got it.
you combine that with Pathfinder, they can potentially moving at the double in terrain as well with a pivot.
100%. Yeah. So let's move on. We'll stop that one, and we'll move on to Adam Story, who has one of the flying lists. So he's named this. I'm assuming there's a printed theme here. For
I think
for his
Queensland
Miley.
didn't bother flying with Qantas. They've just all taken all flying lists
Yeah,
to get to
exactly.
to get to Clash.
Yeah. So Adam's brought, or is bringing, I should say, 6 hordes of the Order of the Forsaken, all with the Vial of Sacred Water upgrade. 1 with Sir Jesse's Boots of Striding, 2 Pegasi, Avatar of the Green Lady, an Exemplar Redeemer on Winged Unicorn, and then a Winged Unicorn with Lightning Bolt and Veil of Shadows 3. I think for a lot of people, seeing an all flying list it can be pretty intimidating, right?
Oh, for sure, especially
Yeah.
when 6 of them are proper hammers.
If he pairs the right matchup, he'll just wipe the floor with his opponent. But if he pairs the wrong matchup, well, he could struggle.
Yeah, if there's some shooting. I mean, and the thing about heavy flying lists, right? It can one quite bad turn of nerve rolls can ruin a whole game, can't it?
There's
Yeah,
I'm
and I
not
don't
sure
know
if
how
we're
much
gonna.
phalanx that we're seeing in this meta, but if he runs into some heavy phalanx, he'll struggle.
Well,
I'm
one
sure,
interesting list we didn't put up was Chris Wilcox making his big return, and I think he had 2 or 3 hordes of sharp sticks. So from Queensland as well. So
there's a couple of lists with a few hordes of phalanx.
Right. So that's Adam's list. Let's we'll cease that one, and we'll move on to. Now I'm sure Scott Marshall has come before, but I cannot remember. And so we have his list called Frozen Echoes of the Afterlife Undead. Now that's got 2 regiments of revenants, a horde of revenants with undead giant rats, Soul Reaver infantry with the Staying Stone, zombie troll horde, white horde, revenant cav troop with skirmishers boots. I like that. Undead army standard bearer with Shroud of the Saint, so that gives wild charge D3 skeleton only. Morgoth the Faceless, who is still awesome. 2 revenants on undead great burrowing worm, both with plague breath, 1 with brew of haste and 1 with mead of madness, and a revenant king on undead great flying worm. So Maxi, I think you volunteered this list up. What do you like about it?
Yeah, baby. So all 3 of those titans have the skeleton keyword, which, if you look at the army standard bearer, gives wild charge D3, I think it is, to skeleton. So he's looking for some spicy potential turn. No, he can't quite turn 1 charge with it, but some long bomb charges with these titans.
And the 2 burrowing
yeah,
have movement items as well.
Yeah, trying to play into that.
Yeah.
Yeah, followed up with Morgoth, the new Morgoth, who can move the double and double cast.
Yes, move at the double and double cast. Yep. Yep. The new and again re-improved Morgoth.
Morgoth for
So
mandatory.
even if you can't find a flank with that, the movement bonuses and the wild charge, you can just surge it in from a long way away with Morgoth.
Gad, if you're still watching, you're going to have to show this list to Hong, mate, because I think half this list he wrote big posts about hating half these half these entries in the list, I should say. But yeah, a turn 1 charge would be nice, wouldn't it? So that's Scott's list, and I think for they certainly have become more viable to those Titans with the unit strength too, haven't they? It just makes them that little bit more powerful.
I don't even know what else he's got in his list. I don't think it matters.
Lots of skeleton types.
He's pushing
Lots of
3
skeleton.
dragons around.
Yeah, I think I wrote a well, it's not similar because it's in EAD, but a list with double skeleton dragon keyword and having Ras because you buff it to the melee 3 once you've cast your surge around. Right, so that's Scott's list, and then we have Alex's phalanxing Forces of Nature, which I think has seen play at a tournament before. Have you played against this, Max or Paul?
I played against this last week in person. It's pretty spicy. If you can, so the key to this list is, I think it's Kapupa. If you go down,
Kapupa. Yeah, we should read it out, shouldn't we? So 2 troops of Hunters of the Wild, 3 troops of Hunters of the Wild, 2 regiments of Hunters of the Wild, 3 hordes of Forest Shamblers, 1 with the Brew of Sharpness, 2 Pegasi, a Glade Walker Druid with Shroud of the Saint and Heal 6, Kapoka, the Hidden Savior, with Heal 4 and Weakness, and so Kapoka has Aura of Phalanx Verdant only, and then there's a Forest Warden with Loot of Insatiable Darkness, and then there's 2 Tree Herders, 1 which has the Orb of Towering Presence and 1 which is the Wilt Father. So, yeah, I like this list also, and Alex is a solid player.
Yes, for sure. Alex is definitely improving, and if he can pilot this pretty well and pair the right matchups, like if he pairs that Order of the Green Lady list and gets his phalanx bubble in the right spot, he might do all right.
That's right. Yeah. Maybe Alex,
Yeah.
maybe you should grudge one of the flying lists round 1 and let's see how it goes. What were you going to say, Paul?
I've played this list as well, and it's very strong in the right matchup. And more importantly, it's an all-tree list, which is really cool.
Yeah. Loves bringing his wood to the table, Alex. That's what they say about him.
Very
and then
nicely
the last
painted too.
It is nicely painted. Yep. And then our last one from the interest list was Tony Lee's Boying list, which I think is so named because it's got a whole bunch of old. Let's share the right screen. A whole bunch of what are the old Warhammers? Squig Riders. I think that's what it's named after. So he's got 2 regiments of Fleabag Sniffs, 2 regiments of Fleabag Riders, both with more pups. He's got the Magwans, Cav special upgrade. He has a horde of Fleabag Chariots with short bows and the boots of striding, 2 more pup launchers, 2 giants, both with giant clubs. He has Granny Snark, Magwar and Juice, and then the Bang Sticks formation, which is a popular formation in this class. How do you feel about this as a fellow Goblin player, Paul?
Well, I chose this for my interesting because I've got this sort of a list on my bucket list. So turn my Goblins into a fast-moving, cavalry heavy list, and I think this is really cool. I'm going to do it one day. I've also, spoilers, got the Bang Sticks formation in my list, and I think it's the most fun formation in the whole game. I don't know about the best, but I think it's the most fun. So I really, really dig this list. And I think all that movement, 10 and charge 20, will catch a lot of people unawares.
What do you think, Maxi?
Looks like a fun list to pilot. All at speed 10 nimble. Looks very enjoyable. I don't know how well it'll go, but
and I swear
we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I don't even know what TIL stands for because Luke uses more bloody acronyms than anyone I've ever met. But yes, Pegasi, he asked, is Pegasus a tree for Alex's list? And I said, yeah, well, Pegasi also have wood, Luke. Okay. So, we don't discriminate.
I think just back to this list for a sec, it can take the slasher, which it has a rampage aura for beasts. So I think that would have been interesting in this list, but it's a lot of points. So I can
Oh, and you
understand.
could do a giant squig slasher too.
Yeah,
Mm.
the big vomiting squig. But I can see why it's not good.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I mean, I think I generally prefer the Slayer option on the Giants, but just because I think often you need that little bit of help going through the bigger stuff, more so than the infantry.
And they're a big block of nerves. At defense 5, are they 17, 19? Which is something the list lacks. So I think I can see why the Giants are in there, and they move pretty quick too.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that is a benefit of them, isn't it? Is their speed overall? They're certainly not slow. Now we've got, I think, about 5 new first-time Clash of Kings players coming this year, and so we've picked just a couple of their lists to have a look at. So we'll stop sharing that way. And let's share Lachlan's first, his elf list. So Lachlan is taking 2 regiments of Gladestalkers, a horde of Therenian Sea Guard, 2 regiments of Forest Shamblers, Stormwind Cavalry Regiment, a Drakon Horde with Boots of Striding, a Bolt Thrower, Elven King with the Shard Blade, and a horse, Elven Archmage on horse with Inspiring Talisman, Veil of Shadows, and Alchemist's Curse. And then the Swirling Tempests formation. So it's 13 units, 23 unit strength. I'm not sure. I'm not even aware of what part of the country Lachlan hails from. I think it certainly does something in all phases, this list. But whether it does enough in any of the phases is probably the question. What do you think?
It's a very well-rounded list.
Mm.
Very balanced. I think he might be lacking in a hammer. He's got the Cav and the Drakons. If I was running Owls, I'd run 3 hammers, but
Queenslander.
other than that, I can't see a flaw in this list. It's great.
Yep, and I mean one of the benefits of the formation, it does exert some board control with those speed 10 Drakons, although the weakness of the lower nerve. So I think that formation, I think it can be one of the trickier formations to run for an inexperienced player because of the lower nerve on the regiments. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. Tell you what, I'm not looking to getting off this live stream hearing the screaming that's happening in the background. Yeah,
I think there's
just
also
you
a bit
wait,
of board,
Maxi.
There's also a bit of
can't wait.
board control with those Forest Shamblers. They've got scout, haven't they?
They do.
So they can push up into key positions as well.
Yeah, they do. And then the other one we've got is Walter, who actually has been to UK Clash of Kings before. He's flown to UK Clash of Kings, but never been to an Australian tournament. So let's share his. I'm not sure he played with his own army over there either. He might have borrowed an army. But he's local to us here. I haven't met him yet, though. And so he's taking our only Orcs list with 3 regiments of Morax, a horde of Great Axe, a regiment of Trolls, actually, 2 Orklings regiments, a War Drum, a Flagger, 2 Godspeakers with Fireball, Gakamak, Crudger on Wing Slasher, and the Gore Chariot formation, which I can see it looks like it adds a keyword there. What's the Gruesome Gores do? Gruesome Gores, unless disordered,
Rampage
they have Rampage and Slayer. Interesting.
But only D3.
Yeah, haven't seen that on the table before. I think one of the things that Orcs have always struggled with a little bit is not being able to compete strongly in the shooting phase.
You can build an all-shooting Orc list with the new standard bearer gives you Rampage, so you can
Oh,
And
yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm.
you can take a whole bunch of skulks and a whole bunch of skulk chariots, which I think is fun, but not good.
No. Yeah, exactly. I think it's and so like he's got a couple of lots of fireball there, but fairly short range. Gakamak's a beast. That's
I like
one of the most.
Gakamak. I like
Yeah.
the wing slasher too.
Yes. Yep. And the wing slasher is popped firewall on that. Yeah, Gakamak is, I think, one of the most annoying individuals in the game.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd go for Fire Oil because it's already got Crushing 3.
Yeah,
Probably
probably
take
a little
the
bit of a
blade.
waste there, isn't it? And there's not too many regenning Def 6 units except for
No.
do Obsidian Golems regen?
No.
No. So
It's only 5 points though.
Yeah, be better off being a Blade of Slashing though. Get more use out of it probably.
It's hard to find a hole in this list, so that's what I found.
I mean, the good thing about these chariots too, unlike some, is that they are melee 3 as well, aren't they? Yeah. Jats is asking, so Ratkin, Slaves, Rift Forge, Green Lady. What were the other ones that were missing?
I don't even.
We've got a Green Lady.
Yeah, Jats clearly
no.
didn't sign in at the beginning of this live stream. Wasn't it the first list we talked about, Green Lady?
What are we missing? Twilight Kin, Brother Mark, Sylvan Kin.
Yeah, Rift Forged and the Slaves. Yeah, and I think there was one Ratkin, wasn't there?
There's one Ratkin, yeah.
Oswald from Victoria.
Yes, bringing a lot of phalanx.
Yes, so we've now done like a couple of new playlists and some lists that we think were interesting, and now we're going onto some lists we think we can that can compete for the top gong. So Paul, I reckon let's start with yours, and I'm just going to have to go to your list and then bring them up. So you're going to have a bit of a chat about why you think these. So first of all, let's go to the current Australian master, Stephen Devonish, and we'll share his list. Share screen. Stephen. Right. And so Stephen's got 2 hordes of sharp sticks, which will be good against those flyers, 2 troops of luggets and a regiment of luggets. So going out there with some less taken units in Goblin lists is Stephen, which is his want. Trolls with Det Packs and Chalice of Wrath. Magwans, 2 more pup launchers. Wing It, 2 giants, both with giant cleavers, so taking the Slayer option. Grony Snark, Flag It with the Loot. Kuzlo and Madfall, Magwar and Juice, and a King on Chariot with the Staying Stone. This looks fun. I like this. You both picked this list, I think, in your top 3, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's
a very Stephen list.
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing. And there's a lot of multi-tools. There's a few Swiss Army knives in this list. I've been running Magwar and Joe's from the beginning, and Kuzlo and him or them are both great multi-tools, as is the King on Chariot. All 3 of them can effectively shoot. They can all fight. 2 of them are scoring. 2 of them are inspiring. But I think also a couple of units of phalanx in the current meta, given all of the flyers and all the cavalry, is going to be so handy. And all of the infantry and the cavalry or the Magwans, I think, have got more pup cages. So they can all be loaded with a more pup, which is very, very effective. So I think this list covers all those bases. Got quite a good number of drops, 17, 24 unit strength. And as Max said, I think it's right up Steve's alley from the one game I've played him. It seems like his sort of list. So I think
a little bit of fun too. Maybe he kind of thinks I'm already the master. I qualify. I can take something that's a little bit more fun. Just rubbing it in
Yeah.
people's faces,
And-
old Steve.
Until you sit across from him at the table at Clash.
Yeah, and get
Spanks you with this list.
Until
I
he
think
makes you cry.
I think
So
you're
the-
right with those more pup cages, though, aren't you, Paul? Because like when they're not actually, when having more pups isn't listed, like it's something that you can easily forget about when you're across the table from it, that they can they can reload it, so it can catch you by surprise as an opposition player.
And I've been running 2 more pup launches for quite a while. They're very handy, even shooting at the enemy. They don't have piercing, but they've got 3 attacks. They ignore obscured. They're really,
elite,
in my opinion, very
elite
good.
from the winged.
Elite from the winged, yeah.
Mm.
They're a really solid. They seem to fly. It seems to fly under the radar, but I think it's very solid.
So the other thing he's got here is something I've been playing with is Flaggett with the loot and Luggets. So the Flaggett now gives Strider aura for infantry, which works perfectly on those Luggets as a second wave. Then you Bane chant them, and for they're 105 point troops, they can do a lot of damage.
And they've got brutal.
Yeah, brutal, wild charge.
Yeah, very, very nice. Very nice.
And I think Stephen is a bit of he's a kind of a master at using those Swiss Army knife units, the Magua and the Kuzlo, the King on the Chariot. If anyone's going to get
There
the
he
most
is,
it's
the
going to be
master
Stephen.
himself. Yeah, you should see him around town here. Actually, he actually wears a name badge calling himself the master, and it's just we're not allowed to refer to him by Stephen anymore. It has to be Master Stephen. It's really bizarre. Yeah.
I can picture him ordering his coffee.
Yeah, can't you?
Latte for the master.
Exactly. Yeah, they've
You may call me the master.
turns up in his cowl, All right, let's move on to the next one. And now the next one is, oh no, what a lie. No, it's not you, Rob Millington. That's a mistake. You're rubbish.
Although it is EOD and there's lots of those.
He's not going to listen to this.
Well, he's messaging me in the background. So Paul, Paul, exactly. Paul, your next pick was Matt Curtis and his elves list he has dubbed Chariots of Fire. So we had a Forest Guard. He is watching. A Forest Guard troop, interestingly, with the Staying Stone. But 2 Therenian Sea Guard hordes, one with Hammer of Measured Force and one with Fire Oil, 2 Hunters of the Wild troops, Stormwind Cavalry Regiment with Brew of Strength, a War Chariot Regiment with Short Bows, a Chariot Legion without Short Bows but with Jesse's Boots of Striding, the Dragon's Breath, a Bolt Thrower, an Elf Mage on foot with Bane Chant and Lightning Bolt 5, an Elf Standard Bearer, which with the changes gives out Rampage Melee 3 Warhost. That has the loot. 2 Nobles on War Chariot, which are pretty good for their points, and a Tree Herder with Blade of Slashing. Tell us why you picked this, Paul. And Maxi, I think you had this in your list too, but we thought we better get some diversity. So you volunteered
I had to cut him.
Yeah.
I've never played Matt, but I understand he's a very good player. He's got some of the units that I think are the best in the off list. Like I love the Seaman unit, and he's got 2 of them.
The Seaman unit.
The Sea Guard.
We've had bloody man bush boxes and Seaman units from Paul today.
Yeah. And like that Stormwind Cavalry unit, short of Phalanx, that's going through just about anything in the game with Brewer Strength and Elite. Like that's a proper hammer. Interestingly enough, I don't think there's any flyers in this, any Dracons in this list. But I really like the War Chariots, and especially the new Nobles that got a buff in the last cock. And just a
inspiring, nimble. Yeah,
and just a casual Tree Herder at the end for people not paying attention. Like I reckon that's all sorts of solid. A lot of it's only defense 4, but it's got a lot of shooting. It's got a little bit of scout. It's got, some hammers. I don't know if you mentioned, but one of the chariot units is a legion. Did you miss that, or did you say it?
I think I said legion, but which, because I'd taken in a horde against you recently, and in some ways the legion's a nicer footprint because of the narrower frontage.
Yeah, because it's 3 wide, isn't it?
2 wide. 3 wide. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's 3 by 2. Could be wrong. I don't know. It's different sort of list, and I think from what you normally see, it's not 2 or 3 units of Dracons and all of the Glade Stalkers. So I think it's a really cool list, and clearly he's thought it out.
Plenty of seamen.
Plenty of seamen, always important. So I think it'll go well.
Right. Okay. And so,
can I comment? Don't leave me out. Come on.
Sorry, mate.
Come on, Matt. Come on,
our favourite little halfling.
No, this list sucks. Move on. No, the war chariots are stealth filth with the rampage from the banner bearer.
Yeah, they've got war hosts, do they? Which
all the chariots have got it.
So those nobles, they're just sitting around looking for flank charges, inspiring everything nearby them. And then you pick up a flank with one of those, and it goes in with Rampage 3. That's 8 attacks, doubled to 16. 3s with Elite, Crush 1, Thunder 1. You catch people out with flanks from those nobles.
Yeah.
It is. Do you think it's super weird that no one's picked up on that? I said there was 10 obstacles on every table this year. Super weird.
Pretty weird. Good things, lots of flyers.
Yeah. All right, and then Luke is your last pick, I think, Paul, who I also had in my top 3. Not because we rate Luke, but we know that he knows how to lean on a list.
I only chose him to put him under pressure and make him crumble.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, good shout. Good shout.
Make him choke.
So let's share that list. Where are we? Share. So Luke has, and he's been making an effort to make this all Mantic Kingdoms of Men with conversions. So he has a Shield Wall regiment, a Knight Cav regiment with Indomitable Will and Striding. How many is that? 4 hordes of Beast Cav, all with Fly, all with Thunderous Charge 1 and with Vicious, and all with Indomitable Will. 2 Ballista, an Army Standard Bearer on horse with the Loot, and 3 Wizards all on Pegasus, all with Lightning Bolt 3, and then 2 Generals on Winged Beast, 1 with the Mace of Crushing. Now, yeah, I mean, one thing is I don't think those Ballista are getting touched with all that flying. I think they're getting, unless they're obscured, they're probably getting 6 turns of shooting.
Or getting hit by one of the multitude of flying units in the other lists.
And the powerful thing about it is, particularly with the Kingdoms of Men versus, say, Adam's list, is the Indomitable Will is really powerful. And Vicious, always good, of course.
This list doesn't have, unless I missed it, Veil of Shadows.
No.
All of the wizards are just Lightning Bolt on Pegasus. So it'll be, Luke won't want to muck around against any of the shooting lists in the tournament. So I expect, unless he's playing a dwarf list or something.
Look at you baiting him already in case he comes up against your fill. Hey?
He'll be getting stuck straight in. I'm putting the mockers on him, so I said it straight out. That's the reason I chose him. No, I think this is a really solid list. I've been throwing around versions of this, and I've been playing against people with versions of this, but I think this is, filth +1 compared to what I've been seeing. So.
Well, and the other thing is he's used to playing all flying filth, right? So
he's that sort of guy.
You know.
I mean,
expert,
experience.
Expert at having a list prop him up, this bloke.
No, Luke will do well. He's done really well in the last few big tournaments. He clearly thinks about his list and then replaces it with spam flyers. So he'll do well.
I want to know where the 3rd general on Winged Beast is. He couldn't fit that in, surely.
He's got
Yeah,
6
yeah.
million
Why is
units.
he bothering with the shield wall?
He,
He probably needed the unlock, did he?
that's an
Yeah,
unlock, yeah. And it shoots,
Yeah.
right? It's got the war bonus.
Would he need the unlock? Yeah, because he's got 6 characters. Yeah.
I've been
so he
thinking
needed
about the
unlock.
missing general, and he's half his army's got indomitable will. So
Yeah, you don't need the inspiring.
even the knights that have got headstrong have got indomitable will.
Well, and also, aren't they? Yeah, they're very inspiring, the generals. So you've
and
got
the
extra
standard bearer
value
is
than
obviously
regular
very
inspiring
inspiring.
anyway.
But I think that could be a weakness, although with all that indomitable will, I think it'd be all right.
Yeah, I agree.
He'll charge people turn 2 and it won't matter.
Yeah. And like not, Def 5, 15, 17 is nothing to sneeze at on the nerve front. So
no, definitely not.
Yeah. All right, Maxi. Let's go on to the ones that haven't been covered off from your picks. Let's see. So you also had Stephen, and then
I picked Stephen.
You changed a couple out because yours and Paul's were too similar. So let's bring up. Where's it gone? Adrian's, who was one of your picks, and then the other one we kind of, well, we've already looked at as well, but back earlier, but we'll mention who that is. So let's just share that. So Adrian's Call of Cthulhu Trident Realms list: 2 regiments of Thule, 1 with Helm of the Drunken Ram, 2 hordes of Gigas, a Tidal Swarm regiment, 2 Coral Giants, which I like, with the Cleaver, Naiad Centurion with Trident of the Drowned Sea, great upgrade. 2 Thule Mythicans, one with Scorched Earth 2 and 1 with nothing. 2 Depth Horror Eternals, 1 with Orb of Towering Presence, and then the formation. And in the formation, he's whacked the Gnome Glass Shield on Anisha, given her the knowledgeable upgrade and Host Shadow Beast 2. Tell us about your like for this list, Max.
Look, honestly, I didn't look too closely at the list. I picked Adrian because he's an awesome player. I think what I like most about this list is he's got 4 regiments of Thule, all different, just to keep your opponent on their toes. So 2 in the formation, one of those has got an item. 2 regular, and one of those has got an item. So that'll keep you guessing. But it's a very good list. Adrian will pilot it very well, as he does. He's got 2 Coral Giants and 2 Giga regiments or hordes to push at people with their high defense, and then all the Thule to follow up as hammers as a second wave.
It's a lot of pieces to deal with. There's no sort of little chaffy or little anvil-y unit that you don't need to worry about. It's all it's all capable of hurting.
Even the characters, he's got 4 of them, can pin you down, tie you up for a couple of turns.
Even the one chaff piece he does have is got ensnare, so and it's fearless. Yeah,
I really like Coral Giants. Like, take your regular giant and give it ensnare. That's great.
And Iron Resolve.
And Iron Resolve. And that Trident of the Drowned Sea, for those that don't know, unless it's been changed, I think disorders something that you wound, that you cause damage on with it. So can just pop someone's flying or thunderous away if necessary. So and no one's going to do the Nicola Graham joke of the Mike Tyson pity the Thule.
I'll use my phone.
How many times have I said the Thule?
Yeah, the Thule.
Also,
who's taking that? What a fool!
I think the other thing worth noting here is that a lot of Trident Realm lists are mainly or nearly entirely Defense 3. This one's got like 4 or 5 units of Defense 5 and Defense 6.
Yes.
So it's not getting pushed away easily.
I haven't seen Gigas. Yeah, that's right. And I haven't seen too many gigas in lists. They're obviously not quite as fast as some of the other elements.
They don't have a lot of attacks, but they're very solid. They're hard to shift.
I'm really looking forward to what the rework of Trident Realms is, but Adrian does play them very well. That is for sure.
And it's a beautifully painted army too.
That is right. Yes. Now, Maxi, we must have one more for you. Well, which was Adam's story, which we've already looked at. So he had the Chocobo list. So
I think if he gets 6 good matchups, he could just table opponents. No problem with that list. So that's a wild card of a pick.
Yeah, why don't we just really briefly bring it up again.
It was 6 hordes of Forsaken. That one, wasn't it?
Yeah, and 4 other things that didn't matter.
Except for the stealthy.
And Pegasus, some chaff.
2 Pegasus, 6.
Pegasus, and Pegasus,
Green
great
lady.
chaff.
Pegusai.
There we go. So yes, it was the 6 hordes of Forsaken, all with Vial of Sacred Water. So and 1 with Sir Jesse's Boots of Striding, 2 Pegasi, an Avatar of the Grand Lady, Exemplar Redeemer with Winged Unicorn, Exemplar Redeemer, on Winged Unicorn, and then a Winged Unicorn with Lightning Bolt and Veil of Shadows. So compared to... Sorry, you go, Paul.
The Exemplar Redeemer is sort of very much like a General on Wing Beast, except it's got regen.
Yeah. If we look at the comparison Queensland list, I mean, the one thing this probably has in favour is that it still has the inbuilt waiver mitigation in terms of the headstrong on those hammers, but has more access to heal.
And the Avatar of the Green Lady's got heal 6, Radiance Alive.
So all of them, I think the Vial gives heal 2 once per game, doesn't it? And then you got the D2, and then you're backed up by the Avatar of the Green Lady. And obviously also unlike like you mentioned with Luke's, Paul, he has brought Veil of Shadows, so he's obviously been a little bit worried about the shooting, probably getting wavered at the wrong time by the shooting more than anything, I would think.
And it's on a move 10 unit that's an individual, so it can cover a lot of ground.
Yeah.
I'd like to see him and Luke play. That'd be an interesting game. A dance of flyers. See who can
Adam is a very good player too. Adam's a very good player.
Yeah, and also
can't
Luke
always
make it, so that'd make me happy.
Imagine if that accidentally happened round 1, Matt.
Yeah. Travel both from Queensland, so the travel groups will take care of that. Not happening.
Do we have any TOs in their chat?
Right. So on to mine. Let's get rid of this. So I had also listed Luke, and then I reckon
Nick Crosser. Did you pick Nick?
No, I don't pick Nick. He just gets caught out rolling too many dice, and then it's all over.
At least he gets to play this year. That's good.
Yeah, so he will we'll see. He'll either play or buy bust, but I hope he plays. I really like his Empire of Dust list. But the 2 we had left was let's do the super dodgiest bugger first. You know a fair bit about this bloke, Paul, and it is
Dave Fanning.
Nah, it's not coming. We wouldn't put his list up. Paul Collins with your goblin filth, and I think my exact words to you. Not the C word comment, but my exact words to you in another chat, Paul, were, how did you shit the bed at Masters with this list?
Turns out I had COVID at Masters.
Yeah.
Which didn't help.
So we've got 5 hordes of the cheapest Defense 4 unlocking things I've ever seen. The Rabble, 2 War Trombones, a more pup launcher, 3 sharp stick throwers, 3 wingets, with bombs away, Granny Snark, 2 Flaggets, 1 with Diadem of Dragonkind and 1 with the Boomstick, a Whiz with Knowledgeable Upgrade and Alchemist Curse, Kuzlo and Madfall, and the Formation. Now, why do I like this? I don't like the general, ordinary bloke, right? But I really I think Goblins are just a really powerful list. I think, one, because, you know, they're really cheap unlocking is Def 4, which I don't quite get. So that you get a lot of fairly resilient nerve on the table for that. And then their non-scoring options are just so good that you can't ignore them, so that you have to divert quite a bit of attention to them. Non-scoring or even the unit strength 1 options like the Wingets. And because you can put so many of those options on the table, it just makes it a list that can be quite hard to deal with. And puts out, when you combine the things like, you know, the cheeky little diadem in their Paul, the sharp sticks are better than what you'd expect because you pop out the elite from the Wingets. And so basically you're naming 3 units a turn to get elite shots on if you want to. It's a very, very good list. It sings and dances in every phase of the game, I reckon. What do you think, Maxi?
Yeah, it's pretty good. I've played against Paul with his list a couple of times. He's slapped me around. Goblins are very good.
But it's 22 drops, so I'm short of timeout.
I don't know how you do it.
Is it actually? Yeah, it actually is, isn't it? 22 drops.
I've started playing
25
Goblins
units
myself, and I've timed out every single game.
Yeah, I think that's, you know, that is a weakness of it. Although we have been generous with the timings at Clash this year, so you know that might save you a little bit, Paul. But I think you know, if it's not like it's unbeatable, but it's a good list.
No, an army with defense 5, stealthy, or regen is very tough.
I think if someone makes the mistake of hanging back too long, you know, it becomes very difficult to win because the combined shooting does put out a surprising amount of hurt with that elite.
Well, there's 5 Empire of Dust and 5 Abyssal Dwarf, both which can be pretty grindy lists, I think. Especially Empire of Dust could be problematic for you.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I've heard on the streets that Paul loves a good grind, though, so might be fine.
Undeniable.
We get these wingets on the screen. Disgusting me.
I know. Yeah, let's get them off. And I love how like Paul's just sitting there trying to play it calm. You know, this is ordinary, guys. And then my last pick
didn't do any good at Masters, did it?
No, yeah, I still don't understand, Paul, because you are a good player as well.
I come up against tough composition and I crumbled.
Too much man bush.
Not enough manscaping.
Yeah.
My
last pick was Mr. Andrew Goodman. So you know that Abyssal Dwarfs have been rebuffed when AG goes back to the well. You know, they've been missing for a long time. The boys have been in their box, right? And so I picked this list because, you know, there is no man who has been more intimate with an Abyssal Dwarf than Andrew Goodman. And so he knows this list inside out. And so he's got 3 troops of gargoyles, 3 hordes of Abyssal Grotesques, with 1 with Blade of Slashing. Did Grotesque change at all?
Yeah, they got Fury and Strider.
Strider.
Yeah. So some of the Abyssal Dwarf changes to me just completely bizarre. But
they were well overcosted until they got a buff, but
they're still melee 4, which is
250 and 250 is a lot of points. But defense 5, 16, 18, that's hit pretty hard. But also that touch slower than most cav. So they do have weaknesses. But 3 heavy mortars, So that was an old favourite of AG's going back in the day. Hexcaster with Fire Oil and Hex 3. An Abyssal Half-Breed Champion with the Gnome Glass Shield. An Abyssal Grotesque Champion with Orb of Towering Presence. And the Slave Orc Formation. Have either of you guys seen the formation on the table before?
I've used it a few times.
Nope.
It's that hero is very, very punchy. He's brutal. He's got 7 attacks, and he gives them rally 2. It gives all the slave orcs rally 2. The cavalry are okay. I think it's probably the second most fun formation. I think it's a great formation, and it does something that the rest of the list doesn't do that well. Anyway, I like it. I think it's good.
Yeah, and the thing for me with this is like AG was very successful with the core of this list, which was the 3 heavy mortars and multiple grotesques before grotesque got, well, it was second edition, but like they're the best they've ever been. So I think there's a really good chance he ruined some hobbies with this list. But again, you could have that game where, you know, your mortars just don't hit once, right? And then you've got 345 points doing nothing for 6 turns.
Yeah, they're really... Max probably can say it more succinctly than me, but range 5 artillery is very, very hit and miss.
Yeah, they were really powerful before because they were in version 2 because they were piercing 3 and vicious. So if you did hit, they were basically auto wound. So,
that's still terrifying.
I mean, aside from the orc cavalry, which really have to be in one space together with their captain, the rest of the army is slow. So if the artillery doesn't hit, all those flying hammers lists could really cause a hardship. Like 16-18 defense 5 is really strong, especially if it's sitting in a wood. But
3 trips
gets charged with 2 flying hammers, like it's coming off.
That's true. I think Luke's list is a particularly good matchup for this because he's got the shooting if he tries to chaff with the gargoyles. So yeah,
and
I certainly think there'll be some very tough matchups if he runs into them.
The Trident Realm matchup, Snare with melee 4 is a tough combination.
Yeah, having your main hammers go to melee 5, it can be problematic.
I think we haven't talked about it, but the best unit I reckon with the Abyssal Dwarf changes is the half-breed unit. And there's a few lists that don't have them. I think they're really, really good for the points. But
I'd be more inclined, even though the grotesques are pretty damn good, I'd be inclined to go the cheaper option of half-breeds over grotesques, I think, for mine. Get more of them on the table for the same amount of points.
Yep.
Not a lot of shooting in this matter.
No, so we had down to have a little bit of and so we've had a brief look at all the lists, haven't we? And I think there's no really, certainly in those that we have previously known to be sitting at the top, there's certainly not a heavy amount of shooting. There's a little bit of shooting in a couple of other lists. What was one of those? So, which can just
there's two lists with 5 or 6 hordes of shooters. There's an ogre list with
there was the Night Stalker list, right? So that was shooting heavy, and then
there was an ogre list with 4 hordes of shooters
Glen
and 1
Porrett's
horde
list,
of boomers.
I'll just share that, which I think.
And there's 2 Force of the Abyss list, which are quite shooty.
Yep. So Glenn had the 4 Kindred Glade Stalker regiments. Oh no, he didn't have any Seaguard hordes, so it's just the 4 regiments.
Once was Warrior. Once was Master Ken has got a very shooty list too.
Yes. Yeah. Is that his typical? That's his typical.
Yeah, it's very similar to what he's been running.
Yeah.
5
Danny
or
Bird
21.
Hasn't changed it in 3 years.
Yeah.
5 or 21 could cause someone a mishap for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. So if I gave you guys one pick to who's coming out on top, Maxi, what are you picking?
One sec.
And while Max is
Stephen
picking,
D.
do we have some
Stephen D, the master. That's all.
Stephen D? Let's get some predictions in the comments, guys. What predictions have we got for the winner of Clash of Kings Australia out of 61 players?
Surely it's got to be Kakwa.
Kakwa. I was going to show this. I was going to show this as a interest of list. And a list of interest of list. Bloody hell.
He's the people's champion. Just ask him.
Yeah. So if I share Kakwa's list, while people, we want to see what you think in the comments while I bring this up of who's going to win. But I'm not sure if Kakwa would even know what to do with this list, because it doesn't just involve pushing it forward. He's got to play in more than just the movement phase and the combat phase. You know, it's got a couple of Abyssal Fiends, some Warlocks. I think he's got to do too much. You know?
I've played.
It's like he's been taking tips. He's been taking tips from Ken, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
Just the tip.
Yeah.
I've played Adam with this list, and he knows what he's doing. But
yeah, does he?
got to be one of the
depends
best.
if he's vomited on the floor again the night before. Day 2.
Well, he doesn't have wingmen or as many wingmen this year, does he?
Oh no, they've been replaced.
Okay.
Maxi's been replaced. There's some reinforcements coming. So we've got someone said, which I'm assuming is his brother. I think Rob said the squid.
Yeah, the squid will be there.
Someone has said age, and then someone else has said AG with a bullet with an option on Tucky. Yeah, Tucky could be a dark horse with those shield breakers. Yeah, that would not surprise me. One-time master, Tucky.
No one's mentioned the Trationator, but he's always got to be up there with a.
Oh, is he going to be?
Yeah. Yes, he's going to be there. So he's taking an Imperial Dwarf list.
He's got what's the unit that Golok's Fury is an upgrade for? He's got 2 of those, which I thought was really interesting.
Still Behemoth.
Yeah, he's got.
I think the base level still Behemoth is still pretty good, to be honest.
Do you want to throw that list up, Matt? Because
I'll share it out.
I think Tracy's got his name on the trophy a few times.
He's got his typical 3 battle drillers.
Problem is because he's not at the table quick enough anymore, because he's getting so aged that the walker takes time to get there and the clock starts. So
he's just got to put some shelves on his Zimmer
time.
frame, so when he gets to the table, he's ready to go.
Yeah. So he's got 3 regiments of Ironclad, a horde of Ironclad with Hammer of Measured Force, 3 Brock Rider regiments, 1 with Drunken Ram, 1 with Blessing of the Gods, 1 with Boots of Striding, 2 Mastiff hunting packs with Mastiffs, 2 Steel Behemoths, 1 with Golok's upgrade, 3 Battle Drillers, 2 Dwarf Stone Priests, 1 with Radiance, both with Radiance of Life Dwarf, 1 with Periscope that also has Host Shadow Beast, and the other has Celestial Restoration. I mean, the main, like all dwarf lists, the main weakness is speed, right? Particularly, like I really like Battle Drillers, but their biggest weakness is their speed 4.
He does have 3 units of Brocks, which are quite quick.
Yeah. No Ken this year. No, Ken's there, mate. Just no one rates him. So.
And he just submitted the same list he did last year.
Yeah.
So the Radiance of Life on the Stone Priest doesn't work on the Behemoths, right? Because they're not dwarf.
I think so.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
So if he's trying to do that, someone's got to call him out on that.
Yeah.
But
I think he's.
So.
Yeah, I think he's just covering off the 3 units of infantry, and the Brocks get it too. So it makes them if you can keep it close enough, it makes them a little bit resilient to shooting.
Also
but Troshi's style is not to hang his cav away from his infantry, so they probably will be covered. Like he's very much a second line.
Also interesting that his mage has got Host Shadow Beast and a Periscope. That's spicy.
Yeah, so what are his targets here for Host Shadow Beast?
Himself, right?
Itself, yeah.
Yeah.
Or the
Well, no,
battle driller? Is
the
that
battle drillers. The battle drillers.
Can you host shadow beast those?
They're an individual.
Equal to the casters.
It's another one of those lists where everything does something. Like he's got 4 units of solid dwarves, 2 steel behemoths, 3 units of cavalry. That's a lot to deal with at the same time.
Friendly
All of it high
individuals.
nerve.
Yeah, so I think it's more likely to be looking at the battle drillers as the target, given they're brutal too, right? So
Yeah. It makes more sense than
Combo charging
the
with
priest
another
into
unit.
combat.
That's really interesting, actually. I don't think I've seen that as a combination before. But again, is going to have to rely on someone bringing him in. I mean, the one thing is, I reckon we should match him and Luke up again, so Luke can shit the bed against a basically no shooting dwarf list with an all flyers again, and
no phalanx
and
here.
come off second best.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
I also find it interesting that he's right into life stone priest that wants to be close to the battle line, has Celestial Restoration, which wants you to be 12 inches away. That's
because it's indirect, isn't it?
It can be behind one part of the battle line and heal another part.
Yeah, so maybe his target is the Brox,
something on the other side of the board.
Yeah, but then again, like I said, he often has his cav second line. And
So
also interesting that he's obviously valued the 3 drillers over something like loading up mastiffs on the ironclad. I'm not convinced that like only having 2 mastiffs is even worth those 30 points, but
I would have put throwing mastiffs on the ironclad instead of the hunting packs.
Yeah,
because the hunting packs typically just get shot off at first opportunity.
Those ironclads will be sitting on objectives. I think that's why they're there, rather than being up in the main line. But that's just a guess. The thing that's missing here is the dwarf lords on large beasts. Is that what they're called? And the
Faber
and Faber and the little
sharpshooters,
heavy hand,
the formation. He's not taking any of the typical stuff.
As ever, it's a list that's got people asking questions, so it's classic
trash, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
I think
so I mean, again, it's one of those things, right? That you wouldn't be surprised if he just pops up.
No, not at all.
Pops up towards the top, but I think that it is potentially more likely that it may not be Trish's year, but I would love to see some HSB battle driller combos. Actually, I think the battle drillers are underrated as is.
Oh, that's very cool. And at a pinch, it can go on one of the stone priests. You know, if the 3 battle drillers.
Right. Yeah. Like late game, you need the job done.
You've got the who was it who was talking about Jeff calculating the odds the other day, and just having just enough. You know, if the battle drillers are into something and there's another unit that needs a few extra wounds, then a stone priest with Host Shadow Beast could certainly do it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Any final comments you guys want to get out into the universe before we wind it up?
Oh, I wish I could be there.
Oh, we wish too, mate.
Looking forward to
miss our favourite little fella.
Can't wait to play Kakwa round 3.
Someone's got to pick him up off the bathroom floor after he passes out. It's
no,
not going to be me this year.
That's pre-bathroom floor. That's round 3.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining us. Thanks to those of you in the comments. We'll release this as an episode 2 when I get it edited up, probably by the end of the week. I also think the Direct Misfire guys will have a little bit of a list chat on their episode, which may drop later in the week as well. So give that a listen. Clash of Kings Australia is on Friday week because it is a public holiday. So running the Friday, Saturday of the Australia Day long weekend. And hopefully good times had by all. And we'll get plenty of pictures and hopefully plenty of coverage up. And let's just see if Paul can make the filthiest list in the place work, you know.
All right. Go Halflings.
Go Halflings. Yeah. Danny represent Halflings. What I did like about Danny's list is the Heroes of Hoddenberg. I'm building that too as a horde. I quite like that in the Halfling list. I mean, I don't think it's the I think it's the power option, but
another beautiful army.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Danny's armies are always very nice looking. All right, guys. Thanks for joining me. And until next time, keep countercharging.